equal 1, let's see that, shoot. For j equal 1, we are now comparing the n, which is the second character in the United States of America. Is that one bigger than, well, what are we looking at here? We are looking at, let's turn that straighter, a little straighter. We're looking at the a sub length of a, which we know is 21, minus j, which is now 1. So this is, instead of, just like we had up here, instead of 21 minus 0, when j was 0, j is now 1. So that's going to be 21 minus 1 minus 1 more. So we're down to a subscript 19 through 19 for this second round. And what does that mean? Well, the subscript 19 character is going to be the C. So we're comparing, in essence, if we were going to put a comment on this, we're going to compare, this is what it's doing, we're going to compare the first character to the last character, and then as j goes up, we move from the left side, we move to the right 1 character, from the right side, we move to the left 1 character. That's what's happening here, okay? And so the first and last characters get compared. Is u greater than a? Well, it is, so we added it. Now we're saying, is n greater than c? And it is. So now we have x equal un, okay? And then, because that's a true, is it c? That's a true, so we add that. And then when j goes to 3, we're comparing the I. When j goes to 3, we're comparing the I. Is that bigger than the I over here? Comparing 2 i's to each other. And of course that's false because they're actually equal. And there's no else. There's no else in this clause. And so we just don't do anything. We just go on to the next one. And so for j equal 4, we compare the fourth character, which is a T, to, there we go, for j equal 4, we're on j4. We're now comparing the fourth character, which is a T, to the fourth from the right character, which is an R. And that one is true. So we now have UNT, okay? And so what we need to do is go through, and here's the tricky part on this question. When you get to the middle, so we're gonna compare U to A, we did that, N to C. Well, let's see if we can do that. U to A, N to C, and then I to I, T to R, E to E, that's a fail. D to M, that's a fail. S to A, okay. Well, that one, S is greater, so we're gonna add that down here to this UNTS, okay. Come back up here, and we're gonna compare T to F. Let me double check that. T is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters in. And we're comparing that to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters there. So T to F, that's going to be a true. So we're going to add the T to that. And then we compare the A to the O. That's a fail. Compare the T to the S. T is greater than S, not much greater, but it's greater, so we add that one, okay? And then we go E compared to what? To itself. This is where there's a crossover here, and this is the tricky part of the problem, okay? This is the part where you're gonna be going, hey, what do I do when I get to the middle? Okay, and in the middle of the problem, first of all, we're actually comparing E to itself, and that's going to be a fail because it's not greater. E is not greater than E. But then you go, well, we've already done these other comparisons. What do we do next? And we're not done. The way this for loop is set up, it's going to go all the way from left to right for the J colon J. That's going to go all the way from 0 through 20. So it's going to look at it's going to compare the U to the A, and eventually it's going to flip over, and at the end it's going to compare the A to the U. as it gets to the end. So there's a crossover here, a logical crossover that we need to pay attention to. And so that's basically going to make us continue this string. If we don't continue this string, it's not going to be long enough, and we're going to get the wrong answer. So let's finish the problem. We're only halfway done with the first loop. So we compare the E to itself. Then there's a crossover, and now the S is on the left, not of this string, but of the comparison. Okay. So basically, what's happened is we've gone United. How far do we go? United stat. And then we compared the E. Come on now, Tom. And then we compared the E to itself. And now we're continuing with the rest of United States. This was our middle point. And then on the other side, it was going backwards. And we're basically, on this column, we're spelling United States of America backwards all the way down. And on this column, we're comparing United States of America forwards. Okay, so we're doing all those comparisons to see if, you know, the one on the left is greater than the one on the right. And I'm going to just do that with my fingers, and then we're going to add to it up here if we can use it. But I'm not going to write them all out here because I know you guys hate long videos, and this video is probably already past your attention span, especially with all the blurring and the limited camera space here. So I'm just going to keep going with it. We figured out what this first loop is doing. We'll have to move on to the second loop soon, but let's finish what we're doing. So we got to the middle. And prior to that, we compared T left side to S, where we're asking is T greater than S. Now that we've gotten past the E, which is the middle, we're asking is S now greater than T, which it's not. That's a fail. Okay? Is O greater than A? Well, yes, it is. So we're going to add that to our string. Okay? And we come up here, and after O, we're still going forward on the left side with the United States of America, and on the right side, we're still going backwards with whatever United States of America is backwards. So we just compared the O to the A, and it was greater. Now we're comparing the F to the T, and that's a fail. We compare the A, that's going to fail no matter what. We're comparing it to the S, that fails. We compare the M to the D, and that we keep, okay? Because M is greater than D. So that's what our string is. Our X string is now, UNTSTTOM. And what do we just compare? Something to the M and D. Okay, then we can compare the E to, I hope you can see this, compare the E to the E, that's a fail. Compare the R to the T, that's a fail. Compare the I to the I, that's a fail. Compare the C to the N, that's a fail, and then compare the A to the U, okay? So we are done with this first for loop, this J loop, and we're ready now to move on to the second for loop. Here's the first one, here's the J loop, here's the K loop. We're ready to move on to the K loop and see what that does. Okay, and so we're kind of all the way through this, and this was our result here at the end of the for loop for J that works on the value of X. Now, what is this K loop going to do? Okay, it's going to start at 0, so we know that it's starting at the beginning of a string, which is going to be used to do that. We want the length of X. Okay, we'll come down here, and X is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters. And so it's a length of 8. And I'm going to subscript these with the 0. So that's subscript 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the subscripts for our X string. Okay, but it's length 8. And so this K is going to go from 0 to length, which is 8, minus 1. So 0 to 7. Okay, it's going to iterate 8 times, But the values for k while it iterates are 0 through 7. That is that off by 1 numbering that you're familiar with in C++. Okay, and so if k through k, well, that's just one character, and we're starting at 0. So if x sub 0, let's just write that here. If x sub 0 is less than n, then we're going to build the y string. Remember the y string that was also started at the null string value? We're going to start building that. Notice that y concatenates to itself. And we're going to take the value of whatever x's subscript value is, not the subscript value, but the actual value where that subscript points. And we're going to concatenate it to y as long as the character is less than n, okay? Meaning it has to come in the alphabet somewhere between A, L, M, N, O, A through M inclusive. If it's in the A through M range, we keep it as part of the Y string. And if not, we discard it because there's no else. We're not going to do anything if it's false, okay? So now that we know what that's going to do, we know what the comment would be if we were commenting this code. You know, we're just looking, going through the string from start, the X string from beginning to end. If any of the characters are less than n, you know, in the A through M range, then we're going to use those characters to build our Y string. So looking at X here, U is certainly not, that's a fail because it's bigger than n. N is equal to n, it's not less than n, so that's a fail. T fails, S fails, T again fails, and again. L, M, N, O. O just barely fails, just like the N just barely fails. And M ends up being the only part of the string that is actually concatenated to the Y string. And we come back here, and that's the end of the K loop. Okay, straighten that out a little bit. End of the K loop, and all that's left is to print Y, and that's what Y equals. So come up here, Y equals M, and that's the end of that problem. Okay, sorry, this was probably the messiest string problem you've ever been through. Okay.